Okay people, so we got Boruto episode 206, and with this one in particular, there's quite a few different things to talk about. For starters, we got a new opening, I believe it's opening 9, a new ending, I want to say ending 17, and ultimately we got the beginning of a brand new battle with Team 7 along with Kawaki versus Boro, and there's a lot to discuss. I mean, for starters, the opening alone, wow, a lot of visuals that are just kind of like, holy cow. yeah, teasing us right now, okay, but also a wholesome nature to it. And then the ending, yeah, you know what, I'm not gonna waste any of the time. Let's get into all of this Boruto madness.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Okay people, so for starters, let's talk about the new opening for the Boruto anime. It actually caught me off guard, but it does make sense that we got a new opening because it is a new season, and usually every other season they switch the opening for the Boruto anime. And again, I want to say this is opening 9 if I'm not mistaken, and for the most part, a lot of it was once again kind of pushing that dynamic. If Naruto, you know, and Naruto Shippuden had the Naruto and Sasuke dynamic, this one, ever since now the introduction of Kawaki, it seems as though they want to kind of recreate, or attempt at the very least to recreate that magic of a bond such as that, because you see throughout it, it's like a Boruto and Kawaki-esque thing, but also there's a lot in there because for starters, there's a lot of silhouette images, and yeah, I'm gonna kind of just go as spoiler free as I can with just like maybe naming names but not saying what the names mean. For example, there was a Baryon look in there, a Baryon silhouette, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, because if these silhouettes mean anything and they're not just going to be showcased for no reason, that means that by the end, I'm guessing the end of 2021, all of the major stuff that went down and will go down in the anime will be completed in terms of like some of the stuff that we kind of just wrapped up at the end of last year in the Boruto manga, because it is showing major stuff. Like again, I said Baryon is in there, so we got Baryon. It also showcases Ishiki Otsutsuki, which that's here or there. Obviously he's already been revealed. Jigen said, hey, my name is Ishiki Otsutsuki in the last episode, so there's something like that in there as well, which is kind of like, holy cow. Then a little bit of a Boruto shot in there that's kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, just a lot of teasing in this one that is kind of giving me an idea that, wow, they're going full steam ahead. It doesn't look like we're going to be going into any sort of filler or any sort of anime original stuff for a while, if at all, and they might at most maybe add like a little episode or two here or there like they've been doing, but it makes me worried and makes me wonder what they're doing now. And it's kind of crazy because, you know, we've been screaming, we want canon, but we want them to, you know, continue adapting the story. So I'm wondering, because the manga hasn't gone into a big time skip yet, how are they going to handle things? Like initially I thought like, okay, if they breezed through all of this, if we had a time skip, then it would make sense that they would just add a bunch of anime original stuff, do like what Naruto Part 1 did before it went to Shippuden or something like that. But in the manga, we're still not even at the time skip yet, so kind of makes me worried when they're showing all these big things that's supposed to happen in this opening, which means that probably by the end of this year we will see all of these major events like Baryon and just in general. But also something I noticed that they didn't showcase much of, which is a very big deal in you know, the Boruto story, I guess you would say, would be we didn't see really any Koji in there. And I'm kind of like, that was big. That was arguably the biggest thing for me personally in the Boruto story. Like I'm kind of just wondering, like, why no Koji? And I'm not going to say, obviously, why Koji was a big deal to me, but he was. So I was kind of curious about that. The end of the opening was a really beautiful shot that I absolutely loved, and I thought was really wholesome. And honestly, you know, considering we watch Boruto every Sunday and shit like that, it's like, oh, okay, nice feel for every Sunday. I'm also sad because we know something majorly bad is going to happen to change that and change the course of history, so to speak, because you get that shot, that nice shot of Hinata, Naruto, Himawari, Boruto, and Kawaki there, and Kawaki is next to Naruto, and it's like, man, you know, that surrogate family that Kawaki had imagined, and it's there, but how long it'll be lived considering everything that's going on right now. So I really like the opening. Honestly, I really like the opening. The song was okay. It wasn't anything like, oh my god, Bluebird or anything like that, but the visuals was really dope. The ending, not much to say other than it felt a little bit lazy. Like, it felt like they had a nice cool little message of from Minato to Naruto, which kind of cool, giving Naruto, you know, a center stage stage, because at the end of the day, it seems as though they're focusing in that Naruto is going to be a big deal moving forward in terms of like, you know, the Boruto story. But it honestly felt, for me personally, like they had a cool idea, but they lazied it out, because it would be like one kind of artistic looking shot that would last like a good 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then it will move on to the next. And it was just kind of like, I like the idea. It was, the song was actually cool. I actually really enjoyed the song, but yeah, I don't know. It was like nice touch to it, I guess, but not anything that I'm gonna be like, oh, I gotta watch the ending song too. Like, no, I think I'll just be skipping over to the next episode preview when that comes on. Now, getting on to the actual episode 206 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Basically, Team 7 along with Kawaki arrive in the new dimension to go and potentially, you know, attempt at the very least to rescue Naruto after the big Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen battle, and them trying to rescue him because Jigen took him away. And I love Shikamaru's reaction to this. He's like, yo, like, again, it's very reminiscent of Naruto when Shikamaru and Naruto and them wouldn't listen to the people that ran shit and would go and do crazy things like this, even though Shikamaru never liked to do any of this. Like, keeping it real, even when Shikamaru was doing these things, he didn't want to. He just kind of got dragged into doing wild shit when he was younger. He never did. Like, it was all a pain in the ass to him. So I understand. He's like, fucking kids, yeah. Dude probably hates his life, hates all of this shit, wants to go home and just smash Tamari and go to bed. And he's like, these kids, what are they doing? But upon arrival, they quickly are greeted by Boro, and he's holding the big giant black pot that Naruto is in, and you can definitely see that's a big setup. Now, I will say that there was a feeling that I had with this one in particular, that I felt like Boro could have been a little bit more introduced into the scene. They could have added a few extra minutes of showcasing, and maybe I'm misremembering if they showcased or not, him kind of passing the torch, or I forget what it was, Jigen that told him to go guard over there. So I felt like they could have had a little bit more set up there, because it's just kind of like, wham, they're here, and there was mentions of his cult and things like that. But it would have been honestly interesting, or I don't know if you'd say funny or what, to just see like Boro, considering he's such a piece of crap, and it's revealed throughout this episode how he really feels about his followers and how he's manipulative and stuff like that. It would have been crazy if he would have just started bringing his followers and just throwing them at them and not giving a shit. So that's something that I was kind of like, you know, that's a very, very big deal. The big setups that we've had that was anime exclusive or whatnot, but of him, you know, with his followers and things like that. And while it gets addressed in here, I don't know, I just felt like they could have done a little bit more to utilize that whole idea, especially in this big climactic battle that we're about to get into. And they actually throw down in this episode. We see, again, you know, Mitsuki, Boruto, Kawaki, all of them are throwing down against Boro, but Boro is actually a challenge. I mean, even Kawaki says to a certain degree in the very beginning of the episode that he could be even more, to a certain degree, deadly than even Jigen himself. So it's kind of like, whoa, that's a big deal. We just seen Jigen wax the floor with Naruto and Sasuke and them giving it their all. So if he's even close, remotely close to that level, what are these, you know, little getting scrubs gonna be able to do? I mean, granted, they have this uncharted territory known as karma at their disposal, and they utilize it to a certain degree to like absorb different sands and things like that. But yeah, somebody that is close to somebody that took out the shinobi gods ain't nothing to fuck with, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing to fuck with, like Wu-Tang. And Boro goes on throughout the episode to reveal his whole idea, which straight up felt like a political commentary, hands down. This man, that he has this man-made virus that he used so that he could control the people and ultimately have them believing in him being a miracle god, so to speak. I'm just kind of like, yo, all right, okay, all right, yeah, what, yeah, And it's very, very clear to me, very, very clear to me throughout this episode, because the art and animation weren't special by any means. There was times where it was just kind of like, it wasn't bad per se. Like, I won't say that there was a like horrible, like, oh my god, the character designs is off, but definitely the fluidity was really not all that great at all. And the visuals, for the most part, there was a couple of cool shots, but nothing spectacular. They sacrificed the art and animation of, at the very least, this episode. I don't know about next week. Next week looks a little bit better. What could have very well been like a huge moment with this episode for the Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen fight. It looks like they put a lot of their manpower, their resources, their money behind that episode, and it kind of left this episode and this fight in particular, which is, you know, right around the corner from that one, to kind of fend for itself, because it's just kind of like, the episode, you know, it looked cool, looked alright, but for the most part, there was just times like when the big giant boulder falls down, and there was supposed to be a scene where we're going to talk about that in a second, but it's just kind of like, bam, you know, I understand to a certain degree why some Boruto fans get mad. Me personally, I'm on the thing where it's like, I like some of the stuff that they do with the next gen to a certain degree, especially with Team 7, not really the other ones because they don't really do shit, but like, you know, there's some stuff that I would have liked to have seen done right from this battle, but at the same time, I also really love when they have Naruto and Sasuke and them fight. Like, it just is what it is. I come from Naruto. I'm not going to say, I don't want to see that shit. No, I want to see that shit in glorious art and animation, but the way they sacrifice it is kind of like, fam, this episode should have looked a little bit better. Like, there were some cool shots, like I said, like where Boro has Boruto on the ground and he's just standing over him and shit like that. I'm like, okay, that kind of looks cool and stuff, but they could have done a bit of a better job if they didn't, again, probably sacrifice every and all resources to make sure Naruto and Sasuke had a climactic and epic battle against Jigen, which it was, I ain't gonna lie. Now, going back to that giant boulder moment, because it seems like there was a couple of things that they ripped away from Sarada in this episode. While they definitely still gave her moments of, like, you know, she was named the captain by Kawaki of like this new Team 7, including Kawaki now, so we got the new Team 7, so she had a really epic moment where she burned him up and kind of revealed that he could regenerate and stuff like that. She had a couple of good moments, but it was at the cost of, for starters, when that big giant boulder falls, Sarada's supposed to jump up and pick up that boulder on some like, yo, I got muscles type of shit and toss it, and like there was some moments like that was taken away from her. There was another moment that was also taken away from her. I believe she was the one that was supposed to use her Sharingan and discern about the virus. She was the one that's supposed to figure things out regarding the virus with Boro there, but actually I believe they changed that to Mitsuki. So I was kind of like, well, if this is supposed to be a big side of that moment, why would you take away like two gigantic moments of her grabbing the boulder on some like, yo, I'm the team leader shit, and then on top of that, her using her Sharingan to discern things? It kind of like devalued Sarada. Now it makes me think a couple of different things, like maybe Japanese fans over there just don't really care for Sarada, so they're like, why we're gonna give her this epic gigantic episode of all this great stuff happening when they don't care, which is still, it's the wrong idea. Like, at the end of the day, it was in the original manga of her grabbing the boulder and shit, which is cool. It reminds you of like the strength that her mother had, and now she's taking it to the next level. But that they took away a couple of different moments from Sarada that I was like, why? Like, this is supposed to be her time to shine. And, you know, Boruto, Naruto, next generation, she's part of the next generation. I would have liked for her to have retained some of those epic moments. And again, it's like the new Team 7 with Captain Sarada, but Sarada, yeah, like they gave her some shine, but not as much as she should have had, especially considering what she was like in the manga. And overall, for the most part, this episode, it was cool in certain regards. I like the fact that, again, they're giving shine to the new Team 7 and the next gen, because again, we just came from previous gen having a moment. Now let's see what the next gen could do. And again, Boro, he's not quite at the level of Jigen, even though Kawaki kind of hyped him up, like in certain ways he's worse, but yeah, like nah, Jigen would have already had this all wrapped up. They would have been with rods pinned down on the ground, calling it a day. So the fact that they're not is like, and Boro doesn't seem like one to play around too much. Yeah, he's not on that level, fam. Kawaki, I think he was a little bit, you know, misspoken there. But at the very least, is moving forward with the attempt of a big rescue of the Nandaime Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki. But yeah, I don't know. I really was like hyped with the new opening, and overall, I like that Team 7 is doing their thing and Sarada is getting some type of shine. It's just like, I wish she would have been a little bit different and more closer to the manga and how great she was in the manga. But I'm very curious what you guys thought about this episode. How do you feel about the new Team 7 led by Sarada? Do you feel like Sarada deserves that title? I mean, considering that, you know, the story in general just hasn't given much of the newer gen shine aside from like Boruto himself and things like that, I definitely think it was just due for her to have a moment. Also, what do you think about Boro, his regenerative abilities, the obvious political statement regarding the virus that was made by a man to control? Like, your thoughts on the new opening and ending? What do you think for manga readers of some of the spoilers and teasers in there? Again, Baryon is crazy. And your thoughts on the lack thereof of Koji in that opening. Then your overall thoughts and expectations for the Boruto anime with episode 207 and beyond. Again, it looks like next week the art and animation is going to step it up. And overall, I still got to say, hands down, that in the manga, I said this last week and I'll say this again, in the manga, I did not care about any of this shit. I'll be honest with you. I was like, it's alright at best. At worst, I was calling him, not Boro, boring. I was like, this is boring as fuck. And the anime, it made it a little more exciting. I'm actually more intrigued into this than I was times 10 with the manga. So there's that. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. Greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and Yo, I ain't gonna lie, for some reason it doesn't leave my mind that wholesome end of the new opening of, you know, that family photo of Boruto, Kawaki, Naruto, Hinata, Himawari. Yeah, sometimes a dream is a real enticing and beautiful thing, but we all know how Boruto's gonna turn out, so sad shit. Have an awesome day.